Okay, young fella,
Hey,
tell me your name.
hey, my name is Christian Hoffman.
Chris. Chris, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Germany. I'm still German. Live here in the US for like 20 years. Actually, I live here for 20 years now.
How old are you?
58.
So you've been here for 20 years. You grow up in Germany?
I grew up in Germany. I was then traveling all over the world. Lived for 10 years in West Africa.
How were you? How did you do your travels? Military or something?
No, I had the, so my grandma introduced me to the idea to write a bucket list and do all that stuff you want to do. She said, like, do what you want to do in life. Uh, it's all what matters. Do not get caught in, other people's wishes and, being exploited by them. Do what you want. Be always integer. Be always honest. That's how I was raised.
Your mom and dad is still alive?
Both are dead.
Did you travel? Did they travel? You traveled with them,
No,
or
no,
you
no.
traveled on your own?
My parents and me, we traveled when I was a child, like 10, 9. We traveled twice. Uh, One time was Yugoslavia. Back then it was one country. And Denmark. That was it.
Hmm. Were you loved as a child?
No, I moved when I was 5.5 years old. I moved with my grandma because the home situation wasn't pleasant. Let's
Right.
say it like this. I was mainly abused by my siblings. It was just a constant fight between them, and I was rather introvert and kept out and manifested being by myself.
Are your brothers and sisters still alive
They're all alive,
in
and
Germany?
yeah,
Are you married?
I was.
Do you have kids?
I have one son who's living with me,
Right.
and well, marriage was one thing. I never trusted women. I never trusted their integrity, and learned that it's always like status, um, how much they can show off with you, and whatever they need. And I noticed it was often materialistic, of materialistic nature, and I didn't trust this, and I was kind of right. When I married finally, um, it was dumb. She took, yeah, 250K from me. It was straight when I moved here from Germany with her. We were married in Germany, then here in the US again. And just 1 year later, she, emptied all the accounts and did a 911 scam.
So you're both from Germany?
She is not German. She is American.
Okay, so you met her here in the States.
I met her in Berlin. I had a contract there and was building houses. I'm an architect. So went out at night and met her in a bar. She was a flight attendant back then.
You're a well-educated man. Where did you get your, are you a bachelor or degree or anything like that?
I have a master's in architecture, a bachelor's in IT, and I was about to become a professional soccer player, but I skipped that for college.
Do you do drugs or alcohol?
Uh, I hate to be impaired. I don't like it. Um, so my thing is more like I want to go, I want to do, I want to experience, right? And as clear as possible every time.
Hmm.
And so when the night comes and I need to just however to wind down, I just drink a beer. Uh, let's say I drink a 12 pack a year.
Right.
And so I tried marijuana once when I was young. it's just not my thing. It's like this. I don't know.
Clouds the mind.
Yeah, like out of you know.
Well, and in some, I think it would create paranoia.
I mean, it helps to create fantastic things or whatever, or feeling free from fears or things that worry you. But I do this through my dreams rather, and I rather accept reality as is at all times.
That's
I
good.
try to find the joy in that.
That's good. Where do you stay?
I'm living in a three-bedroom house. Uh, One thing about me, I'm a lucky guy. I can tell you that. So there now, the whole market has changed. You have to have like basically income through employment. You need to show off that you have three times the rent. You have to show off that you have been not convicted of a crime or demeanor or whatever it is. Um, Whatever somebody claimed at you, it's in the public records, and you don't get a place. Done. Yeah,
Yeah, I know they do. They can go by your
it's
credit
it's
history.
insane.
They go by
It's
your credit history and
insane.
everything now.
It's I call this election. It's literally. I mean, you're lucky if you get a place, right?
Hmm.
There's always something. And if you're not like the total crawl man, like crawl for everything and be a good servant to whomever is boss, you are like. So I do what I want and make money with that. Um,
That's the best way to live it.
so yeah, I want to look back when I die. I want to look back to a life I chose,
Right.
right? Not to a life that had been chosen for me. I want to do, you know, everything, bad or good, on my own account. It's a
So
very
you,
important thing to me.
so you grew up in Germany and at a young man and moved to Africa. You say?
Um, well, I met a wonderful woman in Senegal, and she was coming with me to Germany, and so she was very attached to her family. So we traveled back and lived there over the winter, and then came back to Germany. I was working then as an architect, did projects, stuff like that, and to make the time worthwhile in Africa, we started to um, come up with a concept. So I made good money, like literally. So I was just building schools. We just traveled around, figured out like villages where people are, living their old ways, and asked them if they want to help building a school for them. Um, so and they can do whatever they want with it. I didn't care. Like whatever they want to do, community center maybe or whatever, whatever they have
Right.
in mind. Um, and that worked. It was like a nice project.
Before we started the interview, you were telling me that you were married to a woman that the relationship didn't turn out as you expected.
Yeah, it was a con.
Tell me about your ex-wife.
Okay, she was a adventurous woman. It was the um, the woman I met after my Senegalese girlfriend, which I never married. She didn't want to marry. We both agreed that the contract of marriage will destroy the love. We had both the same idea. So um, after that was gone, and she died too. So I, worked my way and was in Berlin, met her.
You
She,
met her here in the States.
no, 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 in Berlin, Germany,
Okay.
in the capital. So she was adventurous, open, easy. and so am I. So we traveled around, met in different places. Since she was flight attendant, she had like this free flight. She was able to go anywhere, and so we met anywhere, right? So by call, I was like maybe in Thailand. She came over there, no problem.
Right.
So that developed really fast, and she came up with this conservative idea to marry and have children. Um, well, I she married. We married in Germany. She lived with me, and after a while, she said she's homesick. I said, no problem. Well, let's go to wherever you want to go and live there. So yeah, she wanted to go home, um, living close to her mom in New York. I looked around, found a spot as architect there, worked. And as a guest in the US, you can work, yeah, HB1, and over the company. Now, I worked, and then she wanted to um, marry me there to, get a citizenship going, and so we can live regularly as, American citizen and wife. So we did.
Did y'all become citizens?
I never became a citizen.
Was she?
She is a citizen. She is an American
Okay.
from New York. And so um, after marriage, we then chose to move to Atlanta and took her mother with us and got her a place, got ourselves a place. But since I was married, I had to wait for my papers to, to be able to work. So we lived on my, money I had, and which wasn't a big deal, so it was not so bad. However, 1 year later, and I tell you, I should listen to myself. I was warned there's something wrong. I didn't care. Stupid. And so what happened was her brother and her had arguments when we visited them in Atlanta. Arguments about me. They were loud, and they sounded weird, those arguments. So he was persuading her to keep up longer and, it will work, stuff like that. I was like, what? But I didn't really,
Put two and two together.
I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably my wrong that I'm going naive in a relationship and say, that's the wife, that's my wife. And no matter what, I have to trust her. She's number one. She's my partner.
Right.
And no matter what she thinks, that's what it is. I have to bring my part. It's dumb. I mean, marriage is not worth anything these days.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, I come home. I had a place figured out to buy in Atlanta that would have, would be now like probably 2 million worth. What back then it was like 200,000. And yeah, I was like going to do the math on it and get it. All the accounts were empty, and she wasn't there.
So she cleaned out your accounts.
Not only hers, or hers, the joint account, and my accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like going to sleep, and yeah, he came home, started to attack me
Physically?
physically, of course. Police came. I called the police. Um, and yeah.
Was she abusive up to that point there, or was it this
It
particular
was a
one
complete
event?
change. She felt in the discussion with her brother, she felt stressed out. I noticed that she was stressed out about something, and he tried to persuade her to keep on longer, to hold on longer. And that is what I
That
always have
almost
in
sounds
mind
like a
about this.
conspiracy.
It's a con. The second warning sign was her friend. Um, she was always having, Mexican boyfriends or South American guys or kids. She was into real estate, selling houses, and had then her boyfriend, preparing everything for her and like a handyman. And she said, whenever this is not working out for me, or if I don't like it anymore, I just, you know, do a 911 and he's gone.
Hmm.
She said that. I didn't listen either.
Yeah, that sounded like a warning. Are you
So, I mean, so I can tell I'm, I'm mad at her and I don't wish her the best at all. I hope she's swallowing the money. But, I mean, I was stupid.
well, when you're in love, and when you love, because love is a matter of trust. I mean, you just don't want to think that way when it comes to the one that you're in love with, and it's hard to see sometimes.
Yeah, I'm very clear about this. I do not make that a question. It has to be like this.
Right.
What I will not ever do again is publish my accounts. I mean, that's between me and the IRS, and that's it.
Hmm.
So whatever, money is, nobody knows.
Yeah. Even your new wife, if you ever get married again.
No way.
I got you.
Not recommended.
You said that there were kind of sort of warning signs that you overlook for love. Are there like warning signs that say somebody was maybe possibly dealing with an unstable relationship? I mean, where does it start before it ends up this way?
Um, for example, if a relationship is overly sexualized, I I really enjoy sex. It's number one for me. Okay, I'm a guy, so what? But that's not all. There is something touchy about it. You understand each other. Um, you notice that she's feeling well around you. All these things, um, cuddling up, just having a good time. These things.
And then
If
all of a sudden it stops.
if that is not available, if there's something uncomfortable, you can tell, something went wrong, and your partner can tell you like, oh, that's just temporarily or whatever. It's not.
Hmm.
It's serious.
How's this affected other relationships you've had since then?
It's just the material part. I noticed that women are very material, so I just keep that out of sight.
So, in other words, what you don't reveal the material aspects to your new girlfriends?
No.
They'll discover the prize once you've been married again.
Well, if they just hang out with me just for the stuff, nah, not working.
I got you. I see. I understand. In other words, you ain't showing the stuff. You ain't showing the goods until later on, and the
No, I won't
relationship's
show the.
stable.
No, I don't. I won't. I won't.
I got you.
Uh, you know, the marriage showed me. I mean, she was, had signs that she was deeply in love and also deeply troubled to screw me over, but she did, and she did for reasons of probably family matters that were ranking then higher than me, stuff like that,
Hmm.
like a social issue. Um, well, I
What
shouldn't have done it. So,
what is your biggest fear?
torture.
Being tortured? How so?
because I'm helpless and pain. That would be pretty much what I fear, nothing else.
Is there anything in your past that would relate that? Why?
I was exposed in my childhood to my siblings. They were pretty mean.
Physical torture?
Well, not torture. It was just, three three against one, and I was the youngest.
Right.
So it started pretty early, out of sight of my parents. My parents neglected, added a little bit to it, like, making fun of it, that I'm quiet and blah, blah, blah. So, meh.
Was you book smart when you were young?
Huh?
Were you book smart when you were young?
What is that?
Book smart is probably a term that we would use here in America. That you read a lot,
Rent.
studied a lot of stuff.
Okay, this is another thing. I was early on claimed to be autistic,
Mm-hmm.
and that was basically because I was mistreated. I retreated, and I retreated completely and
Never
did
thought
not
about
trust
that.
anyone.
Never thought about that. That would make sense that somebody that would read a lot or study like that outside of the education as being their major focus is simply a reclusion,
Uh-huh.
a withdrawal.
And I was then also in my first grade fail, and then, well, I was with my grandma then, and I blew up. I mean, all of a sudden, I was not autistic anymore. I was a genius. I had my 100% like all my life, inclusive college. Always top,
Okay.
always on the top. I was living on the countryside in Mount Airy.
Mm-hmm.
There, I was out of nothing building a little shop, like 10 miles off civilization. Rented a house, was only 300, wood stove stuff and all this, like really old stuff. So I was not living like the biggest life. I had my electricity that was I paid for, and then the $300 in rent. Big house, 3 bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and like, well, okay, it's not big, but but it was my own. It had a barn, and in the barn I had a shop, built it up, and was building kitchen. And since I was I was really hurt and felt like a little bit lost, so I didn't want to have any contact with anyone, and was shopping around in town trying to find installers that install the kitchens for me.
Cabinets.
And that was, for that year, my business. And I had a great time. I was rebuilding myself. So, however, social media, as it is today, you don't meet people anymore. You go social media and believe.
And you think you're meeting somebody.
I mean, just imagine, when I was young in the 80s, there was nothing going without actually meeting that person. You, I mean, you had a telephone at home. You had to ask your parents if you can use it. They usually said no, or not too long, right?
Yep,
And
don't tie
then
the phone up.
and then you can go public and do the 30 cents thing, uh, going in the phone booth and call somebody. But that was social media back then, right?
Right.
And then so you had to meet. You had to be on the street. You had to be like wherever the event is, and meet that person and get in contact directly with whatever there is, right? Social media, these are all avatars. That's people they show themselves as they wish to show themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are not even real. They're just somebody else.
It's funny how some people see themselves.
Well, there's always a strong difference between how you see yourself and how you appear.
Mm-hmm.
There are two different things. It's always like the life inside yourself and the life you represent outside.
Right.
Different pages.
Yeah.
So, however, I met her online, and she seemed a little. She was interested in me. I had no girlfriend. I mean, you live 10 miles off grid. You have a tree to look at. You got your cat. So it's just, I was just alone, and she was interested. She dropped by for a visit for a week. It was gentle, no sex. It was just gentle. Interesting. We just went around a little bit, and yeah, it developed slowly over half a year. And she wanted to move in at some point. Um, Very conservative. A very positioned like into role play between man and wife. She did not want to marry at all. Yeah, well, and what she didn't tell me in the beginning was she actually came out of a bad relationship. There was not a rape thing or beating up thing or anything like that. It was just a drug addict she fell in love with, and she couldn't let go. And then he finally left.
Mm-hmm.
She loved him to death. What between us, it was never really going that deep. It was more like,
Surviving.
both were like kind of on the survival level.
Yeah.
And it never really sparked. But unfortunately, and I read about this. So I grew up in Germany, and in Germany, you don't trust women. You just don't. And my goal was to find a partner for life, like somebody I'm be with and I can trust to stay with me until death. Sounds romantic, right? It's just not real. It doesn't happen. So after it wears out, women often tend to seek like attention, being admired by strangers, and that has become like mandatory these days. So yeah, it never really lasts.
And she became abusive also, you say?
Well, here's the strange thing. So we had sex, and I always make sure no pregnancy until we both totally agree on it. Totally, like 100%, because if you want to raise a child, you got 20 years on it.
You got to be there together.
You be together, and it has to work, otherwise you abuse your child. So child comes first, and you have to, be very through about it, how you want to live together. And so I don't make anyone pregnant just like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
For strange reasons, she got pregnant. And I still riddle how. I only know she went to the bathroom. I had the feeling that she did that.
On purpose?
Kind of. Because there was nothing broken. Condom. Always use condoms.
Mm-hmm.
No. So, well, however, she got pregnant and she wanted that baby. I said, oh my God. We didn't even plan on this, right? So, but she said, yeah, I want this. Okay. After she was 8 months pregnant, she did not want that child anymore. You choose the name. It's your last name. You take care of it.
And that's your son?
That's my son. So I did. I took care of him. A couple of years later, she started to felt left out. She was going like whatever she wanted to do. I didn't really care. It was way too stressful to have her in the household, not doing anything, being just mopey, I need attention, blah, 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 and taking care of the child and making the money. Hell of a job.
She couldn't do it.
I did. So
Yeah, I say she couldn't do it. She couldn't accept the
she just
responsibility.
fell into a depression, and it was way too stressful because she didn't like her son, and neglected him completely. And even the milk, I mean, I had to beg for the milk, for breast milk. She just didn't want it.
Well, at one point or another, there wasn't she trying to take the child from you?
Well, that's way later. So, and she didn't, connect with me at all either. So she was with herself. She, refused any contact, was sitting in her room alone. Okay. However, we still moved together. Like we said, okay, we want to move from here, so she can work, and I would then build my shop wherever it is, right? And we did. We moved here to Mount Holly, and that's when it started.
And what started?
Well, we bought this house together, and her mother died, so she had a little bit money. I had money anyways from my shop, and so we bought this house. And well, from that moment on, she tried to get rid of me and him. She tried to. I don't know if she was having a love affair or something. It seemed a bit like this. She had the job, and her friends was often out, so I didn't really care.
Well, my hat off to you, man. Kudos, because I've known men that have turned their back on their sons or their children, and I've just seen nothing from you except for a fight to make sure that your son is comfortable and educated.
That is the most important thing, based on the fact that your child is your incarnation. When you
Right?
are dead, your child will go and make your life.
That's right. Well,
We'll be
and I've raised my kids like that. I told my children, I better never find myself in an old folks' home. Better never find myself. I better die in my bed, or I better die in your house. But I better not find myself in an old folks' home. I took care of you. I expect what the scripture says is that the children should tend to the parents as they get older.
But I meant something else. So I meant that whatever happens to me, how I die or whatever, probably cardiac arrest or something.
Right.
Hopefully. So whatever. What I meant is when you're dead, your children are your legacy, meaning they carry half of your DNA and they carry you on.
Well, your
in their
personality.
life.
They carry your personality, what you've taught them.
Yeah. And their influence.
Yeah. Both my boys are successful. They have they're both self-employed now. And I thank God for that, because they don't have to depend on anybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the moral principles that I tried to teach my children, hopefully, not just mine, but they've accumulated their own.
Yeah, I'm not really a moralist, but I just think that my integrity is the most important thing.
Well, both for me would go hand in hand.
Yeah,
moral and principle.
Well, yeah, there are
Integrity.
certain principles everybody should agree on. But for me, it was like mandatory to give my son a good head start, to protect him, to keep him safe, to provide for him, so he can develop the way he wants to.
So was this particular woman, has she been, other than trying to irritate you in court, was she physically abusive?
She was for 5 years, physically and mentally abusive.
How so?
Attacking.
Physically
Literally,
attacking you?
physically attacking. I cook, so she just threw the food on the floor, stuff like that. She attacked my son a lot to make me respond to it. And all that was just meant to get a 911 call thing.
I say to instigate a situation. Are there signs for stuff like that? I mean,
I was totally aware what will happen if I respond equally, like,
right.
knock her out or anything like that. So I would know I would be like, publicly tortured, probably thrown out the country as abuser.
Hmm.
So I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you
just,
had
I
you had
just.
extra marks against you. The fact that you had to have papers to be here, and she knew that.
Sure. Well, I had part of my papers back, and when she finally got me tricked out, that was awful from the court here. Uh, Legally speaking, unbelievable. I know I'm not supposed to say that since they're all such great judges, but they screwed me over.
My ex-wife told me, she said, if you ever leave me, I'll take you for everything you worth. And I'm telling you what, she tried to take me for everything I was
And
worth.
millions and millions and millions and millions of women do that.
You got 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
If that what we addressed, what we were addressing, the relationships that's gone sour, that's been uh, everything from unloving to abusive. What would be your advice to somebody that maybe has entered into a relationship they're not sure about? It's kind of shaky, which all relationships have those opportunities, those times, but then there are some that's going to be a little more lethal than others. What would be your advice to an individual who's looking at a relationship that he's not sure about the future?
First of all, you need to always make sure that your intentions are the intentions you want. So you never tell your partner a story just to get them, into your hire. You want to be honest always. It hurts. Your partner may be disappointed, but your partner will always know who you are and what you are about to. I know that is not common anymore, but I tell you, over time, your partner will become, secure with you, can trust you, and here's the trust. You can feel this. It's amazing when your partner trusts you and feels well around you. This does so much in a relationship. So if they start to drag other stuff into your relationship, like unnecessary stuff, unpersonal stuff, public stuff, you will see it will get difficult. If the relationship is based on pure sex, those are flags. Pure sex, um, status, money, materialistic. Can you buy me this? Uh, you know, it's not you. It's something else they want.
And the relationship goes to decline.
Or dead. It will be dead by then. This will be only that. It will be not anything else. Another thing is stigma and role play. Do not ever attempt somebody in a role play. So a woman does not have, have to have a certain role play. She has to choose what she want to do within this partnership. Uh, and it is only important what she wants to do inside this partnership. Whatever she does outside of it, not your business. But maybe she doesn't want to cook. Like my girlfriend right now, she's not interested in cooking. She just warms something up, whatever it is, slams it in, right? So I'm doing the cooking. I like to cook, so that's my part, for example. So find out what your partner wants. Find a way to work together. Those are the things, the standard things that happen every day. Those are the important parts. Of course, sex is important too. Okay, so it's not
Is
like
important. Well,
but
and unfortunately, I think for a man, is vital.
for me, it is. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's important. Like, let's say 50%. What I mainly look for is that my partner like feels absolutely well around me, like
I want my
being happy
wife.
around me.
I want my
That's the most important thing. And if they can be only happy with I buy them something,
yeah.
they're doomed.
Yeah, I want my wife feeling loved.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
want her being confident that she is absolutely, no matter what, loved.
Yeah, no matter what.
Chris, I appreciate you sharing with us, man.
Yep, you're welcome.